There weren't a lot of Black talent in the advertising agencies, or those who are creating those big campaigns. There was a lot of misalignment when it came to addressing the needs and interests and concerns, creating AMAKA, and essentially having a platform that focuses on the creation of our stories, but also providing more job opportunities in the creative spaces across the globe.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Class is in Session. I'm your host, Ashley Stevens. And on this show, we usually highlight what's happening inside HBCU classrooms. We take a look at higher ed policy, the business side of sports, and all things happening inside and outside of classrooms. But we also shine a light on creators, entrepreneurs, and folks in the business world who are shining a light on things that are informative to us and our audience here at Black Enterprise, thus taking our audience to class. I'm excited to feature today's special guest, who is taking creatives to campaigns to capital, how AMAKA Studio is redefining on-demand talent. And our guest today, Adaora O-Njoku, is more than a boss. She's a visionary, a creative visionary. The ambitious Nigerian-American entrepreneur has combined her expertise in brand communications, content creation, market research, and in business development to create AMAKA Studio, a platform offering on-demand creative services that's redefining the future of creative execution. Through AMAKA's fractional team model, the studio has worked with more than 70,000 vetted creators across 15 African countries with an average product delivery time of 48 hours to clients across the globe. Very impressive. So in essence, AMAKA connects global businesses and brands to Africa's most talented creators. And we are delighted to have Adaora here on the show with us today. Hello, Adaora.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for the introduction. Really, really appreciate it. And it's a pleasure to be with you today for Classes in Session.
Awesome. Listen, we are interested to have you take us to class because there's so much that I want to learn and I want our viewers to learn from you as an entrepreneur, also in the creative space, also helping people in these trying times to have jobs and employment and build career skills, which is super important. So we're delighted to have you today. So let's just start at the beginning. If you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, where are you from, and where do you currently reside?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Nigerian, Nigerian-American, but I have essentially lived in various parts of the world. I grew up in Cairo in Egypt, spent a lot of time in New York as well, and then now I reside in London, where I've been over the last 5 years, and where AMAKA is located. But essentially, I would say I really have this really strong relationship with various different global kind of locations. I always say that I'm from everywhere and nowhere at the same time, which also I think sparked a lot of my interest in AMAKA. But yeah, that's essentially my background.
Got it. From everywhere and nowhere, but obviously you are making major moves, Adaora. I'm excited to hear it. Where did you go to college and what did you study?
Yes, so I went to for my undergrad, I went to New York University, and I studied media, culture, and communications at Steinhardt in NYU. I studied my master's at the London School of Economics and Political Science, where I focus more a lot on strategic communication. So really focusing on kind of corporate communications, looking at the kind of social, political, and business side of communications as well, which really kind of fueled a lot of my passion and drive in what I do, and the work that I've been doing over the last few years.
Got it. So how and when did your interest, first become piqued in communications, specifically communications and media?
Yes, so I have over the last decade just been working not only on Amaka, but before then I've worked at media companies, I've worked at Vice, OK Africa, advertising agencies. So a lot of my focus was looking at the communications industry, how it benefits communities of color, I would say, and also I was really frustrated with a lot of the misrepresentation in those spaces as well. So that really sparked a lot of my interest in, who's telling our stories, how are things being advertised, how are things being communicated, who is benefiting from that, and so that just really understanding that from an educational standpoint, but then from a practical standpoint in my work, was really what fueled my interest and passion in the communications field.
Got it. And at what point did you realize that there was a void to fill in the on demand talent space?
Yes, so there I would definitely say since I started, I would say that, especially when it comes to misrepresentation in certain spaces, I would say that there weren't a lot of black talent in the advertising agencies, or those who are creating those big campaigns. There was a lot of misalignment when it came to addressing the needs and interests and concerns of various different communities. So that's when I was really behind the scenes. I was one of the few, I would say, in those spaces, and which drove me to creating AMAKA, and essentially having a platform that focuses on the creation of our stories, but also providing more job opportunities in the creative spaces across the globe.
Got it. And so, speaking specifically of Amaka, when did you found Amaka Studio and what does the name mean?
Yes, so I started Amaka in what we launched in 2021, and the name, I'm Nigerian and my background is Igbo. It's one of the tribes in Nigeria, and it means beauty. It's usually associated with a woman, a woman's name, Amaka. So Amaka means beauty, and I want to be able to share the beauty of our diversity and of our stories, and that's it. That's essentially how it stuck and why I wanted to name the business AMAKA Studio. And essentially, again, a studio has a lot of various different facets to content creation, design, development, that sort of thing. So that's why I essentially wanted to be able to call it AMAKA Studio and showcase the diversity of our creativity.
Love it. The beauty of showcasing our creativity. That's incredibly important. So tell us, what is it that Amaka Studio does that sets you apart from others? And do you even have peers in competition in this space? Because I'm new to learning about what you do and new to learning about what this means in terms of, the fractional model and employing creative artists. Tell me what you do and what sets you apart.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So Amaka is a subscription-based platform that connects brands and businesses to creative talent. We call ourselves more of a creative tech platform where businesses can sign up. Look and source for the different talent that we have in our database and be connected with a project lead to execute their creative projects works on more of a fractional basis. And what that means is not really having a full-time dedicated team and kind of inflating, those fixed operational costs. It's essentially having a dedicated kind of part-time kind of support, if you will, for whenever you need marketing support or social support, or design work. Having a project lead that sources and manages the creative talent on the platform. You can pay the talent on the platform. A lot of our talent, the majority of them are based in Africa as well. And so it's essentially connecting with more remote talent, and providing more opportunities for smaller businesses who may want more affordable solutions instead of having full-time employees, when especially when you're growing as a small business. We actually concluded our seed round last year, raised over about $2 million, and our investors are Morgan Stanley as well. So there's been a lot of interest in how we're connecting remote talent in Africa with businesses in the US. And so that's what our main focus has been. And there are competitors that we have, like Superside, for example, but A lot of what we do is creating more of we are much more affordable in terms of price point, have more diversity in terms of our talent pool, and again, the whole focus is really leveraging AI as well on our platform, where people can search and find their different talent that they need and be connected immediately to their creative team. So it's really about affordability, speed, diversity of work, but also providing the structure that comes with the team, but without the cost of that high cost that comes with those operational structures. So that's essentially how we define ourselves and what we've been doing and providing for different businesses.
Got it. So you've only been in the game 4 years. You're making major moves. Can you tell us? Can you share with us some of the brands that you've worked with?
Sure thing. Yes. So we've worked with some of the biggest names from Nike, Volkswagen, recently with E1 as well, electric powered with racing in Nigeria as well. And so these are large businesses with Sony as well. But again, our focus has been with working with small businesses as well who may not have a Nike budget, for example, but want to be able to have high quality work and support on a month basis.
Got it. That's a big deal to have both global brands and, to really impact and uplift and support small businesses as well. I know that's important to, a lot of our viewers here at Black Enterprise. Adora, tell us a little bit about what support you received to start Amaka, whether that's seed funding, business grants, mentors. I know a moment ago you mentioned some investors. So you've been on the ground for 4 years and growing. So what support did you receive just to get started with your idea to start this company?
Yeah, so what I had was definitely having support from I would say friends and family around really supported me at the start. And I think that's important to mention because especially when it comes to lack of access to capital, especially for Black founders, especially for women as well. Some of our options can be very limited. So that was how I really kind of got that. And again, I was very much in a privileged position to be able to do that. And then a lot of that time before fundraising, I was bootstrapping the company through our revenue as well. And I really wanted to be able to figure out, how to make sure to validate our model with limited outside investment first, and then essentially bootstrapping, and then we were able to have some traction and raise our seed round as well, as mentioned from institutional investors like Morgan Stanley, and not only them providing the capital, but there was it's called Inclusive Ventures Fund, which was essentially an incredible mentorship program that provided us with the tools to really develop our, leadership skills, operational skills, the business model, and so I would say that was a really core defining moment for us as well, and how we really pushed us. So I'd say those were like the ways that I built the platform. My investors are my mentors and my advisors as well. I have a really strong board and this who keep me accountable, even though we're an early stage business. And I know sometimes early stage businesses don't have a board until much later, which I highly disagree with because it really kept us accountable and really provided that structure for us as we went along. So those were the ways that I started out and really got started to provide more of our platform for our key customers.
Got it. Did you start this idea solo or did you have partners, team members, or has this been you, with this vision carrying it out to fruition the past 4 years and counting?
So I'm a solo founder, which is not easy. It's not an easy task,
Yeah.
um, but I have a great team as well, senior teams who have worked in agencies and in tech platforms as well, who have been really supportive of me and the vision and the evolving vision. Because as a startup, how we started isn't how we are now. So that has been really something that we've been pushing is just having those that senior leadership that have the skills in project management, project development, execution history with top tier brands and agencies to be able to develop the tech platform, our tech fractional teams platform, and provide more of an impactful solution for our customers.
Got it. Impactful solutions for customers. I know, Adora, we touched on earlier your educational background, and I'm remiss in not having you share with our audience a little bit about your professional background because I think that the experience you had has led you to founding AMAKA. So tell us about the types of positions and industries you've been in that to me are the beautiful synergy to me that has formed, where you are now and creating your company.
Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, so a lot of the work that I did before Maka was in the agency world. I was working in design agencies, in typical kind of advertising agencies, but then also in media agencies as well, but in their commercial division. So, working at Bias as a strategist, working at OK Africa in the marketing departments as well. But a lot of the work I was doing across the board was things around branded content, for example, how to, monetize media, how to essentially provide solutions for brands through media and through marketing, and so those tools and skills followed me into what I do now, which is essentially combining creativity with the commercial side of the business and really looking at the ROI. A lot of the times for advertising, sometimes people are like, it's not very quantifiable. It feels very abstract at times. But a lot of the times, what we were doing was working on like, what is the ROI? We know the impressions that you had on a campaign, the return on ad spend, those kinds of terms, for example. So my work as a strategist or working in marketing in those institutions really shaped how I structured Amaka and provided those tools and learnings for the business.
Got it. Definitely shaped where you are. And tell us a little, Adora, what steps have you taken to scale your business?
That's a great question. So, a lot of the steps that we've taken to scale the business have really been focused on. I would say I'll kind of split this in more of the tech side, I would say, and then maybe the commercial side. But the tech side for us, when it came to driving user growth, was integrating more of AI tools to make sure it's more streamlined for people to find and source the talent that they need, but also on the flip side for creatives, was creating a tech solution for people to post their work, to find work as well, and a lot of the strategies that we employed within our business was how do we leverage product led growth, which is how do we make the product a tool that encourages user acquisition. And so what we were focusing on was how do we make the tech platform as a very useful, impactful tool that people want to sign up to, that they find value in, which again in turn allows us to grow in that sense. And then I'll say on the flip side for the commercial side of things, again, we have like more of a kind of like a subscription platform where people can really tap into different kinds of creative resources all with one subscription, which isn't very common in the agency world. You have very high, hefty retainers. So, I was looking at how do we provide more accessible pricing solutions that would be more digestible for small business owners. So that's how we were looking at scale and growth from those perspectives. Of course, there's always trial and error as you grow as a business, but those are the things that we've seen that have worked and allowed us to really scale and grow our visibility as a brand.
Got it. And one thing that I know you mentioned earlier, Adora, that sets you apart is the diversity of creatives and content creators that you have, mostly focusing on African creators. Why is it important for you to focus on African creators?
Well, why was it important? I mean, from the personal angle, I'm African, so I think that was something that was very, very close to my heart. But also, there is a huge there's a very, very young population across Africa who are very digitally savvy. About 60% of Africa's population are roughly under 30. So there's a really growing young population who are very digitally savvy, who are creatively driven, who are looking to the digital and gigs economy to be able to connect with more for more job opportunities. And so that was why it was really important for me. And also on the flip side, for businesses in the U.S. as well, I know that a lot of small businesses wanted to be able to find more diverse ways of finding talent when it comes to whether it's diversity of thought, diversity of the content that they're building, also, for us to compete in the global scale, people are outsourcing in India or maybe in Latin America. I'm like, why can't they outsource in Africa, where there's like a growing, really, really strong workforce who are creatively driven as well. So that was why I wanted to make the bridge that gap and that connection. And a lot of the businesses that we work with are with the exception of the large ones, a lot of them are Black-owned businesses. So I know a lot of Black-owned businesses really care about working with Black creatives, as well. So that was something that we, wanted to be, really leverage and tap into and really drive that connection across the board.
Very important. And I'm sure some of our audience would want to know as well. Do you hire creators from other countries as well?
Yes, yes, we do. We do hire creatives from other countries, and also it's not just from a content creation perspective. It's like, again, social media managers, the designers, videographers, photographers. So we do work with various different creative talent across the board. Just the majority of them are in Africa, specifically in Nigeria and South Africa at this time as well.
Love to hear it, and that's particularly important to our audience at Black Enterprise, and also we have a focus called BE Global, where we do want folks across the diaspora to know what we are up to, what businesses are up to, what career opportunities are out there, and obviously, AMAKA Studios is a very big piece of that we want our audience to know about. So kudos to you. We are
Thank you.
here at Class is in Session with Adora O-Njoku. She's the founder and CEO of AMAKA Studio. And we touched on it earlier, but we got to take a deep dive into it because AI, artificial intelligence, is disrupting everyday life, personally, professionally, inside and outside of classrooms, and obviously in the workspace. So, Adora, tell us, how is AI interrupting the marketing and content creation industry?
Well, that's a very loaded question. It is disrupting it heavily, from obviously content creation, discussions around, IP. How are these models being trained and how are they learning? That, they're usually collecting a lot of the, our, data from the creative world to be able to create those kinds of content that you have. They're impacting the speed of content creation, productivity, efficiency. So there's a lot of things that are happening, from a positive side, but also from maybe a lot of challenges as well that we've been seeing in this space. But I would definitely say what it's really important for us is how you can leverage AI to be able to increase the speed of connection, the speed of identifying a great talent. It's really work. AI will not go away. It's here to stay, and there's been a lot of investments that have been rapidly growing into this industry. So it's looking at how can we have a complementary relationship with AI that drives growth and productivity, but also provides greater connection with African-based talent.
Think that's a very astute way to put it. Have a complementary relationship with AI. To think of it
That's
as a partnership, because obviously, I'm always curious to know, and because we do know in some industries that AI, machine learning, those things may be replacing humans in certain roles and in certain jobs. So, Adora, why is it important for you at Amaka Studio to still hire humans to do creative work?
because honestly, especially when as AI evolves and grows more, interaction with humans will become more and more valuable, more in depth interactive experiences, more in-depth cultural knowledge that is unique to specific communities, unique to specific experiences. AI, is still not perfect. It's can be very generic still. I know it's being trained to have better specific knowledge, for example. But as we grow more into it, having more of those interactive human connections across the digital sphere will be very, very valuable. And so that's why we are really banking on that to be able to make sure that there aren't mistakes in campaign ads or there aren't mistakes in experiential activations. It's really talking to the real life experiences of humans, but leveraging AI to increase the speed or productivity of those activations or those campaign strategies.
Got it. And obviously, you've touched on the part, the benefit of leveraging AI to increase the speed and efficiency of work.
Yes.
Is AI training included in the hiring process for Amaka's, creators?
So for us, not at this time. The way that it works, we've just essentially integrated AI to for it to be easier for people to find talent. We do also have talent that, for example, maybe AI specialists in certain creative fields, for example, who are looking at ways to better their craft with the knowledge of AI. But on Amaka, we don't have that training just yet. It's more about the increasing the speed of connectivity more than anything.
Got it. Increasing the speed of connectivity. I'm also interested to know we think about, the use of AI, but also that opens up, um, I guess it leaves potential vulnerabilities as well. So how can, creatives working with Amaka ensure creative control and ownership of their intellectual property?
Yes, that's a really great question. So for us, when you are on Amaka, we are very clear that it's your IP. A lot of these platforms, social platforms, your work could disappear and or you can be logged out and you don't have access to your work or it's no longer your it's IP. But for us, why it was really important, and again, because the majority of our creatives are underrepresented talent, Black talent, who um, have had to bear the brunt of these issues time and time again. And so why it was really, really important to make sure that your IP is yours, and to make sure that you have that autonomy over the work that you are posting on a Macan that's being discovered by brands and businesses as well. So that's essentially the ways that we've been really actively enforcing that.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So essentially, a company can go on to your platform and they can look at the profiles of talent and select who they want, or does Amaka also make recommendations to say, hey, Bob is skilled in social media marketing. He may be a good selection to help this company with their fractional, social media needs.
Yes, it's both. So, for on the one hand, a business can come on and see the profiles, but in terms of to really hire and launch a project, that is really essentially starting a subscription with us or starting a project with us, where we are providing you with creating a team based on your brief or based on your specific needs.
Cool. That's very impressive model. And I know we touched on this earlier regarding the importance of humans, but do you ever foresee AI taking over the role of humans specifically in the fractional creative space?
That's a really great question. Honestly, I don't see it for now. I just see it being very complementary. I think it's just really important to again and a lot of our project leads and creatives already starting to use AI to again just increase the speed of their work, right, of the production of their work. So I definitely see it as more as combining efforts than replacing it. And again, AI is not perfect. We still need a lot of human intervention and human um, correction and understanding to be able to make sure that you get that positive outcome. And also just to add, especially in the creative world. There's been a lot of negative response or backlash when people find out AI has been used in a campaign. So that just really shows that more than ever, having that human knowledge and interaction and engagement is so important to really preserve the authenticity of brand work and marketing.
Got it. The authenticity of brand work. What's been some of the feedback that you've received from some of your global partners and small businesses regarding Amaka Studio?
So the feedback we've been having, like, in terms of the fractional teams model, is that it isn't something that they've seen before in terms of having a subscription and having access to different kinds of talent whenever and however you need it. And essentially, you know, having someone, not only the tech side but project lead, do that briefing, overseeing of talent for you, when as a business owner you may not have the time, but they understand the importance of marketing. They understand the importance of having those creative assets to define their brand narrative, but may not have maybe the knowledge, the time, or the skills to do that. And so taking that off of them, from what we've seen, has been a very big plus for them. And also having a breadth of talent when and now, however they need it, has been a very, impactful for them as well.
Got it. Good to hear that the feedback has been positive. Adora, as we look ahead, at where you're going and also where you've been, tell us a little bit about what's been challenging to you as a young woman and young Black woman entrepreneur.
Well, there's so many things, but I, obviously I want to be taken with. There's a lot of positivity of being young in the space. I would definitely say the challenge. The challenge has always been, capital. I would say I think that's always still the challenge for a lot of founders. And just looking at the ways that we can grow or organically without having to maybe raise so much more, for example. So I think the capital side is always going to be a challenge. And then I think also just making sure that there's a clear understanding of how AI will be impacting our world. I'm not afraid of it, but I think, some clients can be afraid of it. Some creatives are afraid of it as well. So it's having the challenge of how do you balance this, I guess I think they're calling it this fourth industrial revolution, I would say, and how it's going to impact the future of work and the future of gig work. I think those have been the main challenges in this space.
hmm And on the flip side, what's been the most rewarding part about this journey as the founder of Amaka Studio?
The what has been the most rewarding, honestly, well, two things. One has been, the businesses that the support we've been able to provide businesses, and you can provide alternative solutions when it comes to marketing and creativity. A lot of the times it's been really stuck in like these high retainer fees, or it's kind of going on freelance platforms and like not finding the right person and spending money on someone that hasn't really fulfilled your vision. But the satisfaction that we've seen in terms of having an alternative method has been really rewarding to be able to see. And then also on the flip side for the creatives as well, I think providing more of those job opportunities, really contributing to the growing gig economy in Africa as well as in the US as well. And just really bridging that gap has been something that's been very fulfilling. And something that I'm very passionate about championing moving forward.
Awesome. Yes, you certainly are. The work that you and your team and creators are doing certainly is contributing in a positive way to the global gig economy. And obviously, we see here in the United States with job market shifting and folks looking for work, any types of work, whether it's part-time, permanent, temporary, or fractional and gig work. I think this is important to see the success you've had and grown in only 4 short years, and that you are also a young woman. I dare not ask your age, but I know you are young, and I think that's so impressive and so incredible that you're doing I mean, you were doing it, Adore, you really are. I think that's so
Thank
cool.
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's always nice to hear because again, just working in a startup is always very, very tough and challenging. So I really, really do appreciate the words of encouragement. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot about what you do, and I hope that our audience does as well. And, as we wrap up here today, Adora, tell us what's next for Amaka Studio, and what do you want our audience to know about the important work that you're doing in this space?
Yes, I mean, right now we're looking at how we're evolving over the next coming months. So there will be some changes on our side as well. But what we want to be able to do is how do we really expand on not only for the smaller businesses but the larger enterprise clients as well, and connecting them with creative talent in the U.S. as well as in the specific countries that we work with in Africa as well. So I can't really say too much, but there's a lot of changes that we're looking at in terms of how we're evolving our platform, and really streamlining the again streamlining a lot of our proposition for clients.
Awesome. And what's your website? Where can we find out more about you and what you do?
Yes, so you can find us at amaka.studio. Uh, Literally just putting that in, and you'll get there. And you can also find us at amaka.studio on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Amaka Studio. That's awesome. Listen, I've enjoyed you having shared your story and your journey with us here at Class is in Session. And I'm super excited to see and hear about all the impactful work that you and all of your team and creatives will do through Amaka Studio. Thank you for being here, Adora.
Thank you so, so much, Ashley. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, we have been joined today by Adora O-Njoku. She's the founder and CEO of Amaka Studio, on-demand talent service. Y'all, they are truly changing the future of what it means to hire creatives in the marketing space. And they're doing it also by highlighting the work and the talent and expertise of lots of individuals, more than 70,000 actually in Africa specifically. So that's really important here to our audience at Black Enterprise and also BE Global as well. So be sure to share this episode with family and friends. Stay posted for the latest and greatest happenings on BE's social media pages and also at blackenterprise.com. For this episode of Class is in Session, I'm your host, Ashley Stevens, and class is dismissed. For more than 5 decades, we've had your back. Class is in Session, and Black Enterprise have everything you need to elevate your excellence.